Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. So, I don't have a lot of time today, so I'm not going to go ahead and do any planting. What I'm going to be doing this season, just so you know, so I'm just giving you a brief update, and then the work that will start tomorrow will show up. But I'm going to be planting sorghum for this year, just because, there's only so many crops, and that one works well, and I need a bit more of it to kind of get my grains and my base food in alignment. So that will be the plan. But today I'm going to run slurry over and I'm going to top off the pigs. So that's what I'll be doing now. And that will be then taken care of. And then I will see you in a bit as we start planting our sorghum tomorrow. So, you know, when you have those days where you feel like, wow, I just shared a lot of stuff and I did a really good job. Or I shared a lot of stuff at least. And then you're going to pause your recording and wait until you're done and then realize you never started your recording. That's one of those days. So I have literally been yakking up a storm about this and other things. And we've got none of it. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes version, which is probably good, because otherwise I think that other video was probably an hour at this point, given how much time I've spent here. So I'm planting sorghum. We're still not halfway through the seeds, so our previous barley is still sitting there in the other seed hopper, according to what the seeder thinks it's doing. There was a whole debate about calling it a seeder and a planter, trying to act like a real farmer, even though I'm a pretend farmer, stuff like that. I talked about another type of sim that I'm doing on the channel. I'm not going to go through that again at this point, because honestly, in hindsight, I probably spent way too much time talking about it on videos that's really about Farming Simulator, and I likely would have lost a bunch of folks at that point, although it was toward the tail end. But all I'm going to say is, yes, I've come across another train type simulator called Rail Route Train Dispatcher Simulator, but it's not, I guess, what I would call a graphical simulator. It's just line symbols and little boxes. So I just don't know how compelling a YouTube experience it will be, but I'm trying to see if it can find a niche, because I've spent dozens of hours on it already. It's definitely caught my attention, so I'm spending some time there, and just as with any sim, if I can share that with you and get some YouTube content out of it, that's kind of what the Mature Simmer is about, is finding sims and sharing them with you, and also the experience of using them with you. But I'll probably talk about that later at another point, and if you're interested in it, just go look up rail route videos on my channel. There's some out there, and maybe you'll find another love as I have. Maybe love's a strong word yet. Hasn't even been a week, so it's an infatuation right now for sure. But I'm spending a lot of time there, and we'll end it at that. So, obviously at the top of this video, I had done a little bit of pig work. The other part I had shared about that is I have found a way that I think might stay permanent, or at least permanent until I find another way, to feed the pigs that doesn't require me backing up into it, where I can go through the trees and basically just kind of drive by the silo, stop, empty the food, continue. And I think that's a much faster way, and it's certainly a lot less frustrating way. There's still some potential frustration of misjudging hitting a tree. There's some tight spaces the way I'm going through it, but certainly not feeling like, ooh, I have to remove trees I can take the little bit of time to get myself through there, and it's not as if it's a S-curve or a weave or something. It's still, in essence, an arc of some sort that gets me in and out. So you'll likely see that in future videos where I'm dealing with the pig work. But right now it lets me keep both trailers over there too, which is nice, because they're not really near each other. And they won't get in each other's way. To move pigs to market, I still have to back that trailer up. But since pigs don't get ready for market in less than 24 months, that work is less happens less often than feeding the pigs does. You know, feeding the pigs, I've got a good enough amount of time between having to do that. But so those are the changes there, but they were just done, as you saw on the short 2-minute clip that I had of what I was doing there. That was just done yesterday. I didn't have time to plant the field yesterday, so that's why I said I would do it today. With regards to this particular crop cycle, what I'm hoping is that I'm not throwing up a lot of stones doing this work. I haven't looked at the map. I'm intentionally trying not to, because I'm just trying to stay focused and be as quick as I can. Talked about the great college basketball coach John Wooden and his famous coaching advice to his players: be quick but don't hurry. And how I'm turning around on the field or doing any of this stuff, especially now here that I'm near the edge where I could mistakenly seed another part of the field and then have to come clean it up, like I've done in previous seasons that you've seen, where I've had to come back and plow under crops that I mistakenly overlaid into fields I don't own. The other thing we talked about is that field that I'm now facing straight across the corner that looks like mine, that it's unplowed. That's field 16. That one is currently up for auction. I did not get field 8. I got outbid for that. I didn't know someone was actively bidding on it. I thought once we had discussed it, I figured, oh, okay, I'll end up with it. And so I didn't pay attention to it, so shame on me if I really wanted it. And, you know, I kind of half-heartedly really wanted it, because I would have potentially, if I had gotten that field, done a grass field so that I could drive through it without any kind of playing around. And I say that because basically that's what ended up happening with the person that bought it. They threw down a pathway through there, which works in some cases, doesn't work in others. You know, obviously I didn't go through the field the same single way each time. Now, if I choose to go that way, I don't have a choice, unless I want to damage crops or something. In field 16, that field 8 was under $1 million. You know, my bid was $700,000. I think it ultimately went for $750,000. You know, we might have gotten it up to $1 million before we stopped bidding with each other. I don't know that I would have gone higher than that. If he really wanted it that bad at that point, obviously he could keep going, but in any event, it went for $750,000, but it was under $700,000 in the pricing before bidding started. In comparison, field 16 is over $2.5 million, so we're talking about 3 to 4 times the size with that field than 8. And given the time I have, the time and desire combination to work here on Misty Hills, you know, I've said it before, I'm sure I'll say it again, I don't want 100% of my farming simulator time to be this. I do other things. Obviously, I have some other series. I do things that don't make it into series. I do other farming simulator things like map review, map tours, and testing out mods to learn them myself, and then those sometimes turn into how-tos and so forth. So point being, that field's not viable as a possibility to plant grass and maybe get into cattle. So that basically at this point has terminated any possibility of cattle. So we're doing what we're doing, and that is the current ongoing plan, is we're just going to keep farming Field 9, working some pigs, constantly debating about whether we're going to do more animals when I suddenly feel like, hey, I have a little more time on Misty Hills, but I also hopefully am mature enough, being the mature simmer, that I understand the down season is just that. It's the down season, and if I fill the down season with something else, that also starts to add more to the on season, and that would then cross the threshold where I would feel it was too much, because as it is, what I do now, I always feel like, yeah, I've spent too much time, I've spent more time than I wanted doing this. It always just crosses that line usually, and especially in this cycle here, where I may have to, at minimum, plant roll spray all today, where, yes, I have more time today than I did yesterday, but I don't have, an unlimited or a huge amount of time. So I would like to avoid rolling if I could. And that becomes the challenge. I have to plan my farm size and my work for the times where I can't avoid things, where I must do it all. And so I know if I bought, say, Field 16, or any other field other than Field 8, it would likely just sit there and not be used. So while I have $2.5 million sitting in my bank where I could buy the land, I'd never use the land, not to justify the cost. So therefore I'm not going to do that, but I do have to go ahead and get that plowed, because that is one of the fields that hasn't been visited yet. So we're getting down, Field 8 was one. Now, because I thought I was getting it, I didn't actually plow it ahead of time, because I didn't need it plowed. And so unfortunately the FM that did buy it didn't get it in the state it should have been after auction, because I didn't realize they were bidding on it. But anyway, and nobody's actively bidding on 16, so we're kind of in that spot where if I don't get to it now, because really it's ending in a few hours, it's supposed to end at noon today, I'm not going to plow it before then. But nobody's bidding on it, so I think we're safe to let it go back into the hopper. But since it hit the hopper, it's on my list of, yep, this needs to be plowed, because it's crossed the point where it came up for auction. And then I think between kind of, losing 8 and, so therefore it doesn't need to be plowed anymore. And then once I get 16 done, I think at best, I have 2 fields left that have to be on my radar if they come up for auction. Because I know I think Field 35 for sure is the only one I remember. So it may be just 35 that's left after that. So that will conclude that chapter of Shellbrook Server 212 in FSN, and all the initial plowing as fields come up on initial auction. So we're getting close to closing that book out. So that's good as well. Because again, while I enjoy seeing the other fields, it's plowing. It's a bit tedious at times, and unless it hits on a day where I just don't have anything else, it really is a bit of a chore. It's a chore I'm putting on myself. I get it. Again, I don't want to be perceived as complaining in that way. I mean, or whining is really what it would be in that case. It's like, well, if you don't like it, then do something different. Like, you have ways to, you can put out a contract and have someone do it, which is absolutely accurate. But some of it is just my stubbornness of, nope, I've said I'll do it. And I've kind of prided myself on, I did it on Seneca, I'm going to do it on Shellbrook, is I will plow every field on the map. Or, that needs it, obviously, because again, like Field 4 doesn't need it. So if Field 4 has not come up for auction yet, if it does, I don't have to do that work, because that was one of the few that didn't need to be plowed here on the map. But those that do, I'll get it done. Let me get this little piece that I missed. Again, on the video that wasn't, when I didn't hit record, I was going around the edge of the field there, and as I turned, one of the turns didn't quite work. And I left a little bit, and I had to pick it up later, and later is now. Alright, well, at this point, I'll definitely be done before we're done chatting, so you'll get to see with me, do we have to roll or not? But yeah, the other thing that I had mentioned then that went away is the FM situation. So Ginger and Sears are now not on the server, so they are physically removed. Ginger had put in his ticket to get removed. It just took a little bit longer because he didn't realize that he had to do some things after he submitted the ticket. He kind of submitted the ticket kind of like a fire and forget type situation where, yep, I've done it, I don't have to think about it anymore. And then he saw when I was putting things in the chat that, oh, I guess I better go look, and then he realized I think he had to sell equipment or buildings or something before they could liquidate his farm. And then and in his situation, like, he didn't even have the map anymore, so he had to reload the map into his computer and all that. And Shellbrook's not a small map, and I don't know if he still had it saved anywhere, or he literally had to re-download it. So there was some gymnastics to get that done, but he's done. And then Sears, unfortunately, ended up being removed for inactivity. We haven't seen him in a while. He's not been responding to Discord pings. So, again, part of my duty as a mayor is to keep the server active, because otherwise you've got folks like the two new FMs we have that are active suddenly like, well, this isn't somewhere I want to be, because I'm trying to do work and enjoy playing with other people, or at least on a server that has other people, and there aren't any other people. And then it becomes a dead server, and like other servers that I've seen in FSN where you've got the mayor and nobody else. Obviously, I would like to avoid that. I think those front wheels are, yeah, they're spinning. Are they ever gonna stop? That's funny. I wonder if they do that all the time. I've just never noticed it if they do. Because it just might be part of the animation, whether they're down on the field or not, because the center front wheels are spinning, those are spinning. And there's no rear wheels to spin, so yeah, they may just be modeled together. I don't know, never noticed that. Maybe, if I care enough, I'll go back and watch a previous planting video and find when I folded it and see if it's there. I'll probably forget and probably won't do that, but you can do it if you want now, or you can just tell me if you know in the comments, so let me know. But yeah, so we have 2 slots open for sure. We then have Swede, who's up here next to me, who has indicated as well that he is planning on filing. Well, he told me he's filed a ticket, and this has now been well over a week ago. So I'm starting to get a little concerned that we're in the same boat, that he's felt I filed a ticket, I'm done, and he may not be paying attention, which I'm not sure exactly how that'll get handled, but I'm kind of on the verge of submitting a ticket to just get some feedback and say, hey, I was told by an FM that they submitted a ticket, and it's now been a couple weeks. I see they're still here. Can you give me an update? And I feel that's something I can do as a mayor, because I think just asking it in a Discord channel isn't really the right forum, because they're likely going to be like, well, submit a ticket, because there's some work, I'm sure, involved in figuring out, like, is it happening or not? But all his equipment and everything is still there. I think his silo is still there, so... Because I think the buildings, for sure, we need to liquidate. I think then we're supposed to transport the equipment to the shop. But I'm not sure if you're just stepping away, if you even need to do that, or they'll just sell it. But, so, as you can tell, I don't know, because I've never gone through the process myself of saying, hey, I'm done. Here's my ticket. I'm done. Go through whatever. So I know kind of in broad strokes what happens, but I don't know in detail if what I think I know is accurate. Yeah, I don't know. At some point, I say it every time, and then it doesn't happen, because there's not enough hours in the day to do things, and as with any games or whatever, well, I guess let me leave this here. So before I keep talking, let me go check out the map. Alright, I know it needs rolling, but I know it's not going to get rolling. Alright, so if I turn all the stuff off, I don't see any rocks. I see these little lime dots, lines, but that's okay. We do need lime next time, so before we plant, that is a job. So I do have to always remember to turn that on every once in a while. Alright, so the good news is I don't have to do that. I can go immediately to spraying the weeds, which I know don't appear right now, but it'll look just, well, never mind. I'm just being literally too literal. But this is Swede up here. So yeah, he's still got buildings and equipment. So I just think something got hung up there, because it's just been far too long. Alright, but if I'm doing just the spraying, I'm going to do that with my smaller tractor that's already sitting here next to the sprayer. I've had a few people borrow the potato planter. I will say they're doing a great job of putting it right back. So, it's hard for me to tell. If they didn't tell me they used it, I don't know that I'd know they used it. There may be some cost that I'm incurring or something. I don't know. Probably not. Because I just don't know, like, I assume if they're just feeding it seeds from their seed silo, then there's not obviously a cost to me, because there's not a cost at all. But like, obviously if they take it to fill it, I do think, since it's my implement, it would come out of my dollars, but they should notice that and then say, hey, whoop, no, this is liquid fertilizer. This is not herbicide. Don't create more work for yourself. Alright, there we go. This is herbicide. Because yeah, the problem with the other one is that just starts going because it's only a liquid fert silo. So where this one can be either one, so the selection comes up, the other one just starts filling, and then you realize, wait, that's not what I wanted, and then you gotta dump it, and it's just not fun. So I'm gonna try to pay attention. As John Wooden would say, as I told you, be quick, but don't hurry. Meaning that you make mistakes when you hurry. So, but you can be fast, but you want to be fast intentionally. So that's the Cliff Notes version of that too, since I don't know how to record a video the right way. So, so yeah, again, other than visibility, on the field, we already know from trying this last year up north that I'm not going to be able to see anything on the mini-map that this is happening. I'm seeing, sadly, the striping again. I mean, so I think, again, this is spraying appropriately, but I think we're going to have some weird situation with the fertilizer again, which I guess I'll just wait. I would like to be able to do the fertilization, but I don't think it's going to let me. Or maybe it will. I mean, I will likely try it. And when I do, I will show you that experiment and let you know, well, I'm continuing or I'm not. But if I have the same situation that I did up north, which was I was getting striping, I'm like, all right, I'll just wait till the next day. So, and if that happens at that point, I think I've firmly then determined I can't fertilize and kill weeds the same day. So the dream of finishing all the work in one day will have gone away. But yeah, at this point, since I've done planting and you got the far, far abridged version of life on Misty Hills, and I think this is year 91, you'll know from the icon, because I'm always careful on the video postings, thumbnails, to get that right. But I'm 99.9% positive we're in year 91. But yes, here, the abridged spring planting version of year 91. You now know I'm doing herbicide. I will get that done because I know this is doing what it can do here. And it's working because it is changing the field state. So I will come back once I am done with this and update you. So I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to go ahead and see if the fertilizer will work. My guess is it will not. Because, again, I think those are the harvester tracks, and I think the fertilization state will not change until something starts to grow. Because if we look right now, it is solid. We don't see tracks. So I just wanted to go shortly, and as you can see, if we zoom in, we're just, you know, we filled in the piece, but this is what was happening, where I thought it was good, and then it didn't appear to be good, because this map, I'm sure, is taking from data that is then telling me that I can use this or not. Just gonna back up here and leave the sprayer on the side of the field, and then when it sprouts tomorrow, we will come back and work on it. But for now, that means I'm all set. So I'll see you next time.